Hello, my name is M.K.Davis. I often take walks, nearby my house and walk out into the area where a massive tornado passed close by my home in 2010. And this was one of the longest tracked tornadoes that I think is like the third longest in history. It went for 189 miles on the ground, starting in Louisiana and nearly making it to Alabama. Well, anyway, to make a long story short, it passed really close to my house, and the area out there is beginning to deteriorate, from fallen trees and a deadfall. And one day I was taking a walk, and I heard crows, and they were raising some cane, upset. And then I saw this bird coming. It was a very large bird. It was bigger than a crow, and it flew about 15 feet above my head, and it was brilliantly illuminated in sunlight. And it was, and I'm sure of it, an ivory-billed woodpecker, which is supposed to be extinct, or I think Cornell University claims to have rediscovered it in Arkansas, but even that's up for debate. But nevertheless, after seeing it so close, I became a bit interested in it, and I began to look into the matter a little more, and now that I've looked into it, and I've made some pretty good distinguishments between the more common pileated woodpecker and the ivory bill. I'm even more sure now that I saw an ivory bill than I was when I saw it. It was a huge bird, and a huge beak. A lot of white on it, a lot of black, white, and just a red head on the top of the crest. Of course, a pileated has that also. But what I wanted to do with you in this little video is kind of assemble some of the things that I have looked into, some of my little short research on it, and try to help people differentiate between a pileated and an ivory bill. Ivory bills in some of these videos, I cut the sound out of it because I wanted to comment on it myself. And I know that the biologists and stuff blame logging, but I kind of think it's less logging and more insecticide use down here, especially DDT, when a lot of animals began to disappear after that. And some now are beginning to make a comeback because of the, DDT was discontinued quite a few years back. Although it is a long-lasting insecticide. The ivory-billed woodpecker is, even in perfect conditions, requires a lot of space. So that, by nature, causes them to be, rather thinly populated. I think a nesting pair requires like 10 square miles of uncontested forest land. If they begin to have problems in other places, insecticide or deforestation, whatever you want to call it, whatever caused it, you begin to see them thin on out pretty good. And the last one that could absolutely be uncontested that it was an ivory bill was filmed not too far from where I live, out in the Mississippi Delta on the Louisiana side in an area called Tensas Wildlife Management Area now. And the land was owned by Singer Sewing Machine Company. And back then, in the 30s, they made sewing machines, that were a piece of furniture. I mean, they were really nice cabinets, and they owned their own factories to make these cabinets, and they owned their own land where they cut the hardwoods down, down here in Louisiana. A fellow named J.J. Kuhn, Kuhn, guided Mr. Tanner from Cornell University, who was working on his thesis in ornithology up there, guided him to this place where these ivory bills were nesting. And it was just, had he not done that, we might know a lot less about them now. People have been pretty callous over the years when it comes to money. And Singer Sewing Machine Company, right after this man discovered these ivory bills, and he put bands on the nestlings that were in the nest, they cut the whole area down, clear cut it. And that was the last time, for sure, that there was an ivory bill on this planet, but people continue to see them. And I believe that I probably saw them as well. And the next morning, I got and carried my camera with me, and I got a call that I believe was from the same bird. And it's a strange tooting call, like a toot. It reminds me of somebody, those little squeeze bulb horns. It was like, sort of had a resonant quality like that. And I'll play it where you hear. It was kind of in the distance, but I was able to amplify it and at least get it where you can hear it. And you know, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but it kind of resurrects the ivory bill for me. I think that, you know, there's hope that the ivory bill might be rediscovered again, and maybe down here in the bottomlands and hardwoods of Mississippi, maybe there's 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, maybe more. You know, it's sometimes, you know, if you don't know it exists, then it don't. But it may be flying around you and you don't know it, you know. So this is sort of intended to be a little bit educational and maybe inspiring to some extent. So let's just take a look at some of this old film here. We'll start off with some of the old film. Take a look. You know, like I said, a lot of it's blamed on logging, and there was extensive logging in this area and probably did heavily contribute to it. But, you know, I don't think this the sole problem with the disappearance of the ivory bill. We weren't very kind to our ecology down here, and, you know, money sort of ruled. Here's the area where they were last filmed, and this was taken by James Tanner. Like I said, he didn't just wander down here and stumble upon ivory bills. I mean, he was guided here, and so, you know, he knew where to come. But he brought with him a bevy of equipment. I mean, cutting edge at the time. This, you know, recording equipment and sound equipment and video or film. So, you know, he got this wonderful video. Next, we have a little short clip of a pileated woodpecker, which is quite common down here in the South and is often mistaken for an ivory bill. And you see there's some obvious similarities, but there's also some differences, too. And let's take a look at this. This was put together by the Texas State Game and Fish Commission, and it was an instructional thing here to help people understand the differences between the two. Look at the back of the pileated. When a pileated is, you know, and his wings are in the folded position, and he's, you know, climbing on a tree or hanging on the side of a tree, you're looking directly at his back. You don't see any white. It's all black on his back. And on the ivory bill, there's quite a bit of white. Let's take a look at the ivory bill. Now, this right here, the next photo I'm about to show you, is part of some undiscovered photos that belonged to Mr. Tanner. It was found by his widow in an envelope, and they had never been published. And these were of the little chick that was in the hole. He got him out and put a band on him. And this chick had, you know, all of his feathers, so, you know, you can see, you know, the coloration there. And well documented, the configuration of the white and black on an ivory bill because of Mr. Tanner. So let's take a look at this picture. Now, just take a look at the back of a genuine ivory bill. This chick here, and you can see how large they are because he's just a chick, and look at the size of him. But look at the back, you know, all the white that's on the back. And one thing you got to remember about ivory bills, if you only get a glance, if you see a lot of white, then you got a chance. But if you don't see a lot of white, it's probably going to be a pileated. And it's kind of a, you know, touchstone there because most of the time you don't get anything but a glimpse. But underneath the wings too is a lot of white, and the white is on the trailing edge of the wing. So it's also other along the front too, but you'll see a lot of white along the trailing edge where you won't see that on a pileated woodpecker. Underneath, that is. So, you know, whenever he flies away and you see big flashes of white, hey, you can get a little excited because maybe you found one. But I'm going to show you the rest of these photos. There were 14 in total. Wonderful pictures that Mr. Tanner's widow has just, you know, released. So enjoy. Once again, this is Mr. J.J. Kuhn. And, you know, he an old southern guy, no doubt, who knew these woods very well and knew where these birds were. Does it really look to you like this bird is that scared of people? Of course, now this is just a chick, but you know, there's lots of reasons why things go endangered, and sometimes, you know, they go endangered, you know, simply because of our aggressiveness, and it's not anything unusual about the bird, other than it requires space, you know, and back those days, you know, money ruled. If we needed the timber, we got the timber. And you think about, we talk a lot down here in the South about states' rights and things, but sometimes the federal government, when they do some good things, and they come in here and they make us mad and they force things on us, but it really, laws to protect animals that are sensitive like this are very decent and well-intended laws to try to help, that we're trying to be a little better stewards of our environment. But we got to live too. So we need to strike a balance, find out what's wrong, why these birds disappeared. If we can rediscover them, try to help them come back. So pay attention to the skies, folks. Look up there, and if you see a bird you think might be one of these, come check this video out. See if it'll help you determine that. And if we find them, we're not talking about shutting down the woods or shutting down logging or anything like that. We just want to do what we can to save, our more sensitive wildlife. While these photos are showing, I'm going to play the audio recording I made that I think could possibly be an ivory bill, the one that I saw. Just listen to the little toot. There's two of them. There were originally 6 toots. I got my camera started in time to get 2 of them. But let's listen. And now here's the file. I cleaned up and amplified a little bit more. The ivory bill has often been called the good God bird or the old God bird. And the reason why is because the bird is so imposing in its size and so striking in its coloration and contrast and white and black that people often just, without thinking say, oh God, what a bird, or good God, what a bird. And down here in the South, that's a common expression. But, it's you can see from the size of this little chick who can't even fly how big this bird really is. It's the largest woodpecker in the United States, bar none, and also about the rarest. There's some other woodpeckers. There's a red cockaded woodpecker that's pretty rare, but you see them. This right here is like seeing a ghost. I hope you've enjoyed seeing this ghost. Anyway, I thank you for your time.